Well, welcome. It's that time of year again where we get together and talk about the person that we never think about till there's a storm, a problem with the highway, water. But let's start with an introduction.
Hi, thank you for having me, Al. Scott Crisafulli, the Highway Surveyor for the town of Milford.
Now, is it the almost elected, not going to be elected? I mean, we had a long debate at town meeting as to whether we should have this position appointed or elected. Whatever happened, I haven't heard anything.
Well, I had to pull papers, I can say that, so part of the process. So hopefully everything gets settled before the election or before the ballots are printed. And it looks like that's gonna happen, so the election for a highway surveyor will not happen, if that's the case.
Well, being professional, you didn't have much of an opinion voiced at town meeting.
Uh, you know, I already knew what I was going to say. I knew what I had to say, and I was just really interested to hear what other people had to say. So I let it go and let it go and let it go. Um, I did raise my hand to talk a few times. Unfortunately, I wasn't picked, so it waited to the end. But I don't want anyone to think that this shouldn't happen, and this is not something that I wanted. Um, I'm all for it. I understand, this business as much as anybody else in this business as far as what is needed to have someone in that position. What experience or what education or what you need to know to actually do this job today. It's not what it was when I started. It's way different. But I was in the position for been almost 20 years to learn as I went and to understand anything from stormwater to DEP regulations to everything that we deal with is changed in the last 20 years. It changed a lot to the point where I have to take, classes and stuff like that to learn about certain things. Asset management, the paving processes today have changed. Super pave is just an option of hundreds of different kinds of pavement, and to know the applications. And it's a lot for just the average person to jump into and think they can do it. It's not that simple. And the budgets are bigger, the equipment's different. It's been a lot, and it's been a lot of learning on my part. So now I understand that, if I'm to retire and someone else can run for the position, it could be anybody with zero experience. Not saying they can't learn and it takes time, but you don't want to be learning through the middle of a winter when you have storms like we just had. So I understand the need for it on my end. And you don't see highway surveyors anymore. That's not a thing. More than 90% of Massachusetts are DPW. Elected highway surveyors, I think I was one of 6. So when this change, happens, there's going to be 5 left. And I can tell you the 5 that are left are very small towns. They're 5 or 6 employees, under 100 miles of roads. It's still, a situation that works for them. But the size of Milford and what's expected of the highway department and, what Mass DOT expects of us as highway department managers is high. It's very professional now. You'll see a lot of professionalism in this business. It's just not like it used to be. And I think to get the biggest bang for the buck, this town needs to have experienced people in that position. Absolutely.
Well, what threw me was not your situation, but the treasurer, where we had somebody running who's a great guy, very nice guy, ended up helping us on the finance committee, fantastic guy, running for treasurer. And when he came on the show, we asked him, well, how much financial experience have you had? None. How will you approach the job? Well, I'll learn as I go. And you sit there and say, okay, we're a $180 million company. Our budget this year is going to be $180 million. Do you really want somebody
No.
learning as they go?
Hmm.
But he could have won.
In a small town like we are, it's a popularity contest. We know that.
Yeah.
99% of it's popularity. So you just never know what could happen. And why do we want to put Milford in that situation anymore. We don't. We shouldn't. You know, I don't think a lot of people understand what it is that I do and what I deal with and what I do for the town. You know, I'm not, and I wouldn't expect anyone to know. I would, you know, you'd have to spend some time down there to actually understand it. You know, like one day it's the DEP, the next day it's Mass DOT, the next day it's meetings.
But I'll disagree with you because people know what should not happen. If the roads don't get plowed, they're gonna know to come to you.
Right.
If the leaves don't get picked up, they're gonna call you.
Well, that's when they know I exist. You're right. Again, that's what they see. That's not what they don't see is behind the scenes. You know, perfect example. We've been building a salt shed. We started the process a year ago, and with some holdups and you know this happens, that happens. It was supposed to be completed in September, and we still have a little tiny salt shed that we saved just to hold some salt, maybe enough for half a big storm, not a lot of salt. And we've been struggling to keep that full. And all of a sudden, there was a salt shortage. They were having storms in the Midwest, and our salt suppliers, you know, they know that if they send salt to the Midwest, they make way more money than selling it here. So that's what happened. So there's a salt shortage. So we dealt with that. You know, luckily we have towns around us. We all work together. We borrowed a couple loads of salts from Franklin. Brutus over there helped us out. Great guy. And we managed to get through a storm.
You went to your neighbor Franklin with a cup saying, "Can I borrow some
Yes.
salt?"
Yes, that's common practice, you know, throughout DPWs and highway departments. So you have to do it sometimes. I got calls from other towns asking us if we had salt. If we had our shed finished, we would have had plenty of salt, but we didn't have it finished. And once we completed it, now we put in an order for 2,000 ton of salt. It took 2 weeks to get that. 1 or 2 truckloads a day. It just took forever. We hauled as much as we could, and we got shut off because there was a shortage. They wouldn't let us haul. They would haul to us whatever they could spare that day. So it became really tricky. It really did. And you know, like I said, we borrowed from Franklin. As soon as we got enough salt to, you know, refill them, we sent the loads back. You know, it's all mutual aid, we call it in our business, like fire, similar.
But now, what is the procedure? Over the years, I don't know how many years you've been coming on the show talking about brine and calcium and all liquid salt, and what are we doing to salt the roads today?
Right now, it's strictly salt. We have onboard
Sodium chloride,
sprayers.
plain old
Yep,
salt.
plain salt. We do have onboard sprayers that spray a liquid to the salt as it comes off the truck, which will give us a lower temperature melting point, basically. Again, putting a new salt shed in, our yard's all torn apart. We haven't been able to use that this year. We haven't done it this year. It would have been great the last storm, but right now we're strictly salt. And I think at the end of this season, we're going to start, you know, putting our tanks back together, putting our loading spot back together, and we're probably going to look into doing a brine system where we can pre-treat. You know, an early morning storm, a 5 a.m. storm that's coming in, you want to get out there as soon as possible, but to go out there and spread solid, you know, granular salt on the roads, it just blows off the roads, so it's kind of a waste. You want to do it with a liquid form, being the brine, which sticks to the road, and your first, you know, inch of snow has a hard time sticking, so it'll melt or it'll just come right up if we plow it. Makes our life
Do
easier.
you spread actual sodium chloride? I mean,
Mhm.
when I take salt, you know, we buy the little bags, you go out and put it on, you hear a crackle, and then it refreezes.
Yeah, well, you get below 20 degrees, salt it has a hard time melting stuff.
But even if it melts, it just refreezes.
Right. Well,
That's why I like-
turns to liquid and water and.
I like
water
your little trough, which has the dirt mixed with
Sand.
sand.
Yes, sand and
The
salt.
sand mixed with salt.
Yes.
Because at least if the salt melts, the sand is left behind.
So there was a time when that's all we used was a sand salt mix on the roads. It worked well. It melted. It gave you grip. It did what it's supposed to do. But because of stormwater regulations, we no longer can spread sand on the roads. Not supposed to. Somehow, sand is known to, you know, help the spread of phosphorus, which is what we're trying to remove. So that
And even
clogs up the
the
systems,
new regulations
clogs up.
of cleaning manholes 2 and 3 times a week, or
Well, I can tell you this, we don't get any sand out of them anymore. It's all leaves.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
it's very light stuff. Some sand, obviously, but yeah, we don't use any sand unless we absolutely have to. You know, if you have a sheet of ice on a road, black ice or whatever, and there's no grip, we have to put something down the grip because it's just dangerous, but very rare.
My favorite question, what does it cost? Because the first time you came on the show, you altered my view of snow when you said it was $12,000 an inch. So, you're watching TV news and they say 10 inches, and immediately I sit there and say, that's $120,000.
Yeah.
What's it costing us now, roughly?
Well, I can't give you an exact number now, but I'm going to tell you it's at least double.
So it's $24,000 an inch.
Mhm.
So a storm like the one we just had, 200, 250?
I'd say I haven't done the numbers yet because we really haven't. We just finished paying the bills, but I would say we're close to 200 just from that storm because of the amount of snow and the extra work that comes with that. I mean, we're still removing snow today, not in overtime or after work, but regular 8 hours a day. There's so many things to do. But the initial cleanup of the main roads and the sidewalks and the school areas is night after night, and it gets very expensive. So that's why that storm is so expensive.
Where do you put the snow? I mean, I see New York City with their snow melters and,
That might be on my capital list.
oh, God.
It would save me a lot of trucking, I can tell you that. We have a snow dump, a certified snow dump with the DEP. It's on Asylum Street. It's our Asylum Street leaf area, actually. So that's where all our snow goes.
Is it practical to have a snow melt machine?
You know, I haven't done the numbers. I'm not sure what it costs for one that we could use. I'm paying anywhere from $140 to $170 an hour for trucks when we do snow removal. And there's usually 10 to 15 trucks.
Wow.
And you're talking 10 hours each night, sometimes more. So, again, but we haven't done snow removal in 5 years. We never had to. We didn't have enough snow. You have to have 12 to 15 inches of snow before we fire up that equipment. So we got to use the new snowblower, finally.
So what does the Crisafulli fleet look like? I mean, you got big trucks, medium trucks, pick-me-up trucks.
Geez, we got 10, we got, so 8 six-wheel dump trucks, 1 10-wheel dump truck. We got the tractor trailer for all our hauling. We have backhoe, rubber-tired excavator, mini excavator, and 3 loaders. That's it.
So now the
Sidewalk tractors,
big trucks, those are for Purchase Street, Congress Street, that type thing?
Yeah, so main lines being purchased, Congress Main Street, Cedar Street, Fortune Boulevard, that's all done with our own in-house trucks, all our large trucks. They carry the salt, they carry the liquid, they carry the plows they need to do it. The secondaries are done by mostly subcontractors, pickup trucks. We have a couple big trucks, but mostly pickup trucks. So when you have a storm like we just had, that's a lot of work for a pickup truck. They're like, some of the roads aren't real wide. There's a reason they just can't push back like that. So.
Well, my driveway beat the pickup truck guy. We watched as he came up the driveway, went to make the curve, and all of a sudden stopped.
You're in a cul-de-sac, though. That's a whole different thing, right?
But the cul-de-sac, your big trucks took care of. It was coming my driveway. The guy just couldn't, there was nowhere to push it.
Yeah.
Took
It
him
happens.
2.5 hours to clear
So-
my driveway.
There's good to live in a cul-de-sac and it's bad. I mean, if there's no place to push the snow, it's going in your driveway. We try not to bury them because you see the piles on a cul-de-sac. You don't want that at the end of your driveway. So the rule is to try not to put it in the driveways. You're still gonna get somewhat of a windrow, but, you see the amount of snow that piles up.
But when you say that, where do you put it? I mean,
Wherever there's no driveway.
Leah Lane narrowed. You could see that the trucks pushed as much as they could, but the width narrowed.
Mhm.
But there's all of 8 cars going up and down, so it's no big deal.
Yep. Again, there's other streets that are tighter than Leah Lane that there is no place to put the snow. They have like one spot. So you gotta figure the guy goes in there with a plow, he has to do everything he can to get all that snow in one corner of the cul-de-sac. It takes a lot of work to
Oh,
do
because
that.
there's driveways all around the
Yeah, there's just
cul-de-sac.
nowhere to put it. It's 3 feet apart, you know? And I get it, but we do the best we can not to bury driveways. I mean, anybody that lives on any street is gonna get their driveway buried. We can't stop that, but, you know, and then you got, of course, we bury them after you shoveled it, and, you know, that's always a phone call. But, I mean, in a storm like that, we just keep plowing, so
But-
as the,
I call you and say, you plowed snow in front of my driveway. What am I expecting? That you'll come back and unplow it?
if it's a substantial amount of snow, like the cul-de-sacs, if the piles, then yeah, we'll open it up for you. But if it's just a regular snow like everybody has, it's all the same. Everybody's the same. We don't play favorites. You know, I have a driveway. I have to work on my driveway. I don't plow my driveway. I go home and clean it. So I understand it. I get it. You know, and I can go home and, like for instance, that storm, I went home Monday morning to clean my driveway so my wife could get out. And when I got home from work Monday night, I had to do it again because it was plowed in again. So no special treatment for me.
Now, how do you decide how often you plow a street?
Again, that depends on the storm. If we're getting a 1 to 3 inch storm and I know I'm gonna have to scrape, I try to do it once. So I try to get the contractors in when it stops snowing or when I know it's gonna stop snowing right at the end. Because we don't want them out there plowing for 6 hours for 3 inches of snow. We gotta pay for that. So we try to do it at the end. I don't wanna see more than, 3 inches on a road. That's starting to get a little, slippery and hard to drive, so we try to keep it limited to 3 inches. On a storm like the one we just had, the big one, that's, we called them in within an hour of it starting, go nuts. Just keep plowing and plowing and plowing. Your typical road, or route, I should say, takes 2 to 3 hours, one time through the whole route with a pickup truck. So if you don't see a plow the first hour or the second hour, you'll see them on the third hour, but that's sometimes the timeline. So when people call and say, my road hasn't been touching hours, well, because he hasn't got back there, he's still plowing another part of it.
Yeah, but that used to be a problem when people said, you didn't plow my street.
Oh, we get that a lot.
And didn't you buy the GPS systems for that?
Yeah, so all the contractors have GPS. We can check that when you call. And it leaves a breadcrumb trail, how many times they went up and down your street, and it tells us the story. So we usually know. And I'm not saying we don't miss a street. Sometimes you have a new contractor who there might be some street off in the corner, Leah Lane, for instance, and they
You
miss
could
it.
miss us without even blinking.
Right, and they just didn't see it on the map, or they didn't realize it was there, or whatever, and they miss it. So it's okay to call, and we check it. Anytime someone calls, we check into it. And if it needs to be done, or the contractor missed it, we take care of it.
How many contractors?
Well, we've cut way back on contractors. We managed to buy equipment can do a lot more work than the old equipment we had. So we've managed to get down to about 35 outside contractors. I think when I started, we were about 65.
Yeah, 'cause I remember it was close to 70 at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, we've cut way back. Yeah. We find that hiring part-time people helps a lot. We have the equipment for them to drive, front-end loaders with wing plows. Just those vehicles alone they can do 2 or 3 routes. So that could be anywhere from 1 to 6 pickup trucks we don't have to hire anymore. So buying the right equipment helps, definitely. And I've been lucky enough that this town gets that and they allow us to do that, Town meeting votes for it, and it helps.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all looking to get it done at the least cost possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to ask, mailboxes, how many fatalities do we still get?
No. It's not as bad as it used to be. A lot of people have better mailboxes these days. So you're always going to have it. If you have an older mailbox, in the snow coming off the plow sometimes hits them, wipes them out. There's no stopping it. If we hit it with our plows, they're usually reported. So plow guy's driving, smashes down a mailbox, they usually call in or backs into it or whatever. If they know they did it, they call it in. We have it already. When someone calls and say, hey, I broke my mailbox, we know we've already been told that. So
Is there a standard mailbox that you replace it with?
yeah,
'Cause I remember there used to be people that had designer mailboxes.
yeah, well, I mean, there's mailboxes that are $1,000. Yeah, we don't replace them.
$1,000.
No, well, you can get up to $55. That's the limit. $55 will buy you a mailbox and a nice pressure treated post in the cement to put in the ground. So we don't, unless we run it over and we actually hit it, we don't replace those. It's unfortunate, but, there's a lot of granite mailboxes and just the brackets on those are $300-400.
Oh, wow.
If you live in New England, you should have something that's tough because it's gonna get hit by snow. That's pretty much what I try to do. I mean, I can't spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on mailboxes every storm.
Yeah, but even my mailbox is a Lowe's, back then $35 plastic
It'll last forever.
mailbox. And it's 30 years old.
Yep.
Because I brought up my designer mailbox when I moved up here from D.C. And the high school kids, either they didn't like my daughter or they liked my daughter, but my mailbox went away.
Took the baseball bat.
So I replaced it, and it went away. So I said, I'll fix these kids. I bought one of those cast iron, guaranteed you can't hurt it mailboxes. They dug it up and took off with the whole thing, cement boat, 5-gallon cement
You
bucket
got
and
a lot
all.
of friends out there, huh?
So I finally gave up and said, I'll just go buy a cheap Lowe's mailbox. 30 years later, they didn't bother. It wasn't worth their attacking.
So I've had a mailbox at my house it was cedar, but it was like a 6x6 post, designer, nice bracket on it. It was a beautiful mailbox. Been in my house 25 years, and it's been the original mailbox for 25 years. I've never touched it, and it's gone through storm after storm, and it started rotting on the top.
Well, this was teenage angst, because for one mailbox to last 30 years, it hasn't been weather or anything that hurt it.
Good mailbox.
Now, this summer, we went through a bridge that nobody knew we had a
Thought
bridge.
everybody forgot about that. You want to bring that up again?
But it seemed to work out well, because you had come to us and said, if I do half and half, it'll take me twice as long. It'll be 6 months and
Yeah.
$250,000 more.
Well, I mean, it was a 6-year process getting the construction, and we did look at every possible way to divert traffic, to make the bridge easier and quicker to do. We did everything. I mean, I know a lot of people don't realize that, but we spent a lot of time on it.
Well, the study flipped me out, because if somebody asked me how many cars go on Central Street, I would say at least 100 or 200.
No, an hour.
And they came back and said it was tens of thousands.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. Believe it or not, I mean, everything went well on it. It was actually opened up before schedule. A week after schedule. It wasn't completed, but we, part of the contract with the ET&L that did it was you have to have this bridge opened by this date, whether it's finished or not. Meaning, as long as it's paved and passable, we need to have it open. And they didn't want to do that. I understand that from their point of view. They don't want the liability for that. I get it. But we held them to that. And we ended up opening a week late. And the reason for that is the beams being built for the bridge had a scheduled date to be completed. Somewhere along the line, while they were building and putting the steel together for those beams, a certain bracket that they needed to connect the bridge to the abutments was no longer available. What happens in that instance is you just don't, let's just get another bracket and put it on it. That's not how it works. The DOT would not allow that. So you got to go back to the drawing board. The engineers had to redesign it and make sure that bracket would work and was going to work out with the construction of the bridge with the existing abutments. It was a big deal. It cost us 2 weeks of basically making us fall behind. They still worked and did stuff, but they couldn't set the beams. We didn't have them. So that threw us off 2 weeks. They made up a week along the way, and then we were able to open a week after the actual date that we wanted to. So honestly, that job went smooth. There was very little change orders, meaning we were right in budget, a couple thousand over, that's it. It's not a lot.
Yeah, but the budget went from what, 1.2 2.7 to 2.9 million.
Well, yeah, because you had 6 years, so you went through COVID and everything doubled in price, and that's what happened. But what the contract was for, we're only a couple $1,000s over that. It really stayed right in with the target point. So it was done very well.
Well,
Excellent,
I
excellent
don't think
job.
most people knew we had a bridge.
Nah,
I always thought of it as a tunnel.
you couldn't see it anyways. It was all grown in with brush. You know.
No, but realistically, if somebody said, "Where's the bridge?" I think 1 out of 10 people would say it's next to the highway department barn, Fino Field.
Yeah, where's that?
So it ended up working out well.
Yeah, it did. It's one of the better projects that I've seen start to finish that went smooth. We had no issues besides those beams. And we managed to still open up just a week late, so.
Yeah, but the chatter on social media, you would have thought that everything was changing every day.
Wow, a lot of experts out there. I get it, social media. I get it. You know, you're gonna write and say whatever you want. I get that. But, anyone has questions, feel free to call me.
Well, a lot of people had the choice of commenting on Mrs. McGillicuddy's cat getting sick, somebody's dog running away, or the tunnel bridge that nobody knew what was going on.
The big kick every morning would go into the job super's office and read the posts and get a kick out of it. Seriously. And we actually had some people that stopped there every day and watched. And they were just interested in how it worked and what was going on. So I like to see that. But again, anybody that has questions or wants to discuss it or even go there and visit the job, I'm open to that, absolutely.
Well, now it's done, right?
Yeah, now it's done. Now you can go see it.
Salt barn you talk about building. How do you build a barn to house corrosive material? I mean, I would think every piece of metal is exposed to salt would corrode.
If the salt sits on it, I don't care what it is, it's going to corrode. Well, we had an old shed, first of all, a wooden shed built in early 80s, and I think we got it for nothing from DOT. I think they went around the state building salt sheds, so everybody could house their salt. That was deteriorated. The wood was just gone. All the trusses are made with plates, and the plates were rotten out. The nails were rotted out. The roof was ready to fall down. Originally, we lost a piece of the roof, and I went to town meeting to get money to repair the roof. Even the company that repaired it said, we don't even want to go on that roof.
Yeah.
It's beyond that. So we made some minor repairs just to get through, and that's when we raised the money at town
Well,
meeting for a
anybody
new
who
one.
looks at Arizona, New Mexico, you see 30-year-old cars without any rust.
Mhm.
There's no salt. I got to blame the salt for that.
Of course, absolutely.
But how could we live here without salting the roads?
I would be okay with it. I have four-wheel drive, but no one else would be okay with it. But so we had another salt shed that it was probably about 25 years old. It was a smaller one we used for excess to stock a little extra because sometimes we'd run out. 2 or 3 storms, 2015, those storms we ran out of salt twice. We had no salt for a couple days, so we wanted to have excess. So luckily we had that shed. That shed is 25 years old. It is a top and metal trusses, galvanized trusses. It's still standing. We actually moved it to use temporarily for now. It still works fine. The canvas could probably be used to be, a replacement, but 25 years old, no brainer. So when I saw how that's lasted, I said, why don't we just put a tent up like, most towns are doing that. The DOT does that. I said, they last. You take care of them, they last. And they're a tenth of the money of a building. I think said and done, the salt shed itself with all the blocks that it's sitting on, the setup, canvas, trusses, and everything was $350,000. I mean, that's a giant building. It holds almost 4,000 tons of salt. It's the building we had plus the little building we had plus a little bit more. So we can fill that up at the beginning of winter and not worry about salt for most of the winter. We don't even have to touch it.
I've been amazed at how many people in Milford don't know that you put out salt and sand mix for residents. Is that normal for towns?
I don't know. I know we do it.
I remember as a kid driving down and getting chased out of the salt barn. Because I'd say, that's my salt, I paid for it, I want some.
It goes fast. We got to constantly refilling it.
Well, I
So I
think
think a
the
lot of
issue,
people
the
know.
issue was my little car in the middle of those big trucks posed safety issues.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah,
it was by Benny's place, I remember you dumped a front end loader worth, and now all of a sudden you got fancy and there's a cement
Yeah.
trough.
Well, we need it out of the way. We don't like anybody in the yard when we're loading trucks because you have guys that have been working 30, 40 hours and they're tired. And you get behind that machine, they may not see
Yeah,
you.
he's just asking for an accident.
Yeah, and not saying that the guys aren't safe. They're very safe in everything they do. They're trained very well, and it's not that. It's other things. You're on a big machine. You're high up. They don't have backup cameras. Well, the new one does actually, but the older ones don't. If they can't see over the hood in the back of that machine, they're not going to see you. So we'd rather not have anybody in it just for safety.
Well, it works out well because I just go down with my bucket and my
Get in line.
shovel and
Yeah.
get in line.
If you
fill up
want
some
salt
buckets.
and there's nothing going on, we'll let you go get straight salt. We'll let you go in there and do it. I don't know, that doesn't matter to us. But as long as we're not doing stuff.
But even the straight salt, like we talked about. Now, first of all, I love the fact that they sell 5-pound bags of salt. When you got a 400-foot driveway, you get out there and one bag gone, next bag.
You just got to come down and get buckets.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
love that trough
Yeah.
because it's not just salt, it's salt plus sand.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's free.
That's what most people want. They don't want straight salt. They want the sand for traction. So it works.
How'd the leaves do this year?
The leaves have been a breeze. That's all I can say. The new system we have, pick up Tuesday every day at your house, every Tuesday was supposed to
I
be
love that
It
idea.
works much better. And it's doable with 3 trucks. We couldn't do it with 2 trucks. And again, it's not perfect. We may not hit your house every Tuesday, but we'll be there the following Tuesday again.
Yeah, but even if I skip a week, what's the big deal?
Just put more out. But it's definitely made it easy on us. We can do it in 5 weeks now, no problem.
I still, every time I think of the trucks coming by, I think of the day you came a week early. My mother came running into the house, 88 years old, saying, "You call that Scotty guy. He came a week early. Now we don't have enough time to put out our leaves."
Yeah. Well, the new system works, I can say that.
And the new trucks are working out well.
Yeah, the trucks we have they're pretty basic, so repairs and stuff like that, it's been pretty simple. It's nothing major that's gonna tie us up for months. It's quick stuff. So it's worked out well, knock on wood.
Yeah, well, we used to use these dump cleaner things.
Yeah, catch basin cleaners.
Catch
back
basin
trucks.
cleaners.
Very, very cumbersome, very big for what we did, and very over powerful. So it wasn't as quick with those. These new machines are, first of all, it's one-man operation in the truck. And depending on where they're going, you send a raker with them just so they can pull out stuff from behind mailboxes and, telephone poles and fences. But for the most part, it's a one-man operation.
Yeah, because he even controls the snorkel thing.
Everything, yep. Everything from the cab. The older trucks you had an operator running the boom and doing that, and then you had a driver. Because you couldn't do both from the driver's seat.
So what happens with all those leaves?
They become compost, and that's what goes in the bin after the salt comes out, the compost. So we have, takes about 2 years to make compost. So we windrow, we flip them, we treat them with lime sometimes. Sometimes we don't have to, but we keep flipping until it turns to a compost. And if we really let it sit, it turns into a nice loam, which we benefit by big time. That's not necessarily what we give to the residents, but we use it. Like the town park project, we used a lot
I was
of
going
it
to say, at least you
there.
don't have to buy it.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, you're talking the most expensive loam. You're talking loam that's probably $30, $40 a yard that we're getting out of those leaves. And what we do is we take a week and we screen it. We rent a screener and back it in and screen for a week and get 2,000 or 3,000 yards for a week.
Wow.
So it's at a tenth of the cost. So it works out well. I mean, maybe there'll come a day that we can start giving the screen stuff out, but we use it all now. We use every bit of it.
Now that the snow has been beaten up, people start asking, what roads are you going to do this year?
Well, we do have some expectations put it that way, for the spring. But I have a list for the summer. I don't like to talk about that because we do have a list. If I tell you I'm doing your road and I don't get there or the funding isn't there,
Oh, yeah, then
I'm
you
gonna
get the
catch
phone
hell.
calls.
Yeah, so I try not to do that, but we have the second section of Purchase Street, which was on our list for this year, and depending on what funding we have in the spring, we're gonna do that.
What section?
So we did the first section up to Fountain Street, or actually Dilla Street. So we're gonna go Dilla Street to, I gotta do the numbers, but it's probably gonna be out somewhere around Haven Street,
Oh, okay.
kind of splitting that into three different parts. We gotta do the second half of Fortune Boulevard. So that's on our list for major roads. And I wanna do Spruce Street. Spruce Street's a nightmare, and the gas company just finished their work there. So that one I wanna get done in the
What's
spring.
wrong with Spruce Street?
It's a mess, absolute mess. Drive on it. Between the trench and the road falling apart, it's a mess. It's probably the worst road in town right now.
Oh, wow.
So we're gonna do that. And then I go through the list of what we didn't do last year for secondary roads, and we pick up there. We managed to get a lot done this year. We had a lot of funding. We had the town funding, which is about 700,000 now. We had Chapter 90, which is 825,000. We used to call it pothole money, but there was extra money from the state that we got. It was another $300,000 or $400,000. So we had, quite a bit this year to spend.
But what does it cost you per mile?
Oh, I don't know. It depends on what we're doing. We try to do a little of everything. We do recycling, so we'll tear up the road, recycle it, lay it back down. We'll do complete, full depth of reclamation, which is grinding your road to gravel and regrading it and repaving it. That's the most expensive process. Some roads it has to be done. We sometimes do what's called a mill and fill. We take off the first inch and a half, fix anything in the road that needs to be fixed, adjust the structures, and put another inch and a half down. Not the most ideal thing to do because it doesn't last forever. Anything that below that has an issue is going to come back through that eventually. So I do a limited amount of that, but sometimes you're limited from funding, so it is what it is. And then we have other processes, hot in place recycling, where we take off the first 3 inches, recycle it and put it back down.
How thick is the road normally?
Most of our roads are 4 inches. We like to be 4 inches, some are 5, some are 6. But for the most part, any road that we redo completely is usually 4 inches to 5 inches.
And what do you expect for a lifetime on those kind of roads?
This is the crazy part. So roads, you go in the Ivy Lane section, what was that built, early 70s, late 60s?
Yeah.
There's roads in there we haven't touched yet. They're not bad, but that was when asphalt was asphalt. Today it's all chemicals and mixes. It's not actually liquid asphalt anymore. You have every other kind of product in there now, so it doesn't last. So the average, I'm starting to do roads a second time. I've been at the highway department 30 years.
So you're figuring 15 years a road?
Yeah, 15 years. If you didn't do anything to maintain that, crack sealing, micro sealing, fog sealing, you want to keep it sealed. The sun deteriorates roads because of the new mixtures of the asphalt. The sun gives it a beating, like anything. You'll see a road that's, it's black as this floor, and we put it down. A year later, it's white as the rug. It bleaches it right out. So what happens is it unravels. The stones come out of the asphalt. So you start getting a rougher ride. And at that point, you really have to think about sealing it with something like you'd seal your driveway. Obviously, this is a commercial, heavy-duty sealer that will last a couple years, but you have to maintain it.
But is that a good idea to seal the driveways? 'Cause I've heard that it looks good,
Yeah.
but that it doesn't let the driveway breathe and it cracks.
No, I don't think so. Your cracking in your driveway is either frost, water gets under there, the ground adjusts when the frost happens. That's most of your cracks. Sometimes, I've seen driveways that are, inch thick. That's why they crack. There's a lot of reasons for that. But it's not the sealer. The sealer will help. I mean, you don't have to keep sealing every year.
I got
That's a
30
waste.
years out of my driveway and I was pretty happy.
You have a good driveway. You have a good base.
Well, that was the key. When they went to put the driveway in, they said, if you want to invest in anything, double the gravel base.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
apparently that works.
Yeah, so if your driveway's completely failed, you got rutting, meaning that there's tire tracks where you park, and you got cracks and you got heaves of rocks coming through it, you need to take all that material out of there. You need to go down a foot to 2 feet, clear all that material out of there, put fresh gravel, and your driveway will last 30 years, definitely.
Now, how about curbing? Used to be, I mean, the old Milford, you had cement and marble, or granite. It was granite curbs,
Mhm.
seemed to last forever. Then they went to the Cape Cod berm, Destructo berm, where after 2 or 3 years, the truck seemed to eat it up.
Mhm.
What's the story?
Well, you got granite curb. We used to, in new construction, they wanted you to do what's called a slope curb. It's an angle curb. That doesn't last. Not in Massachusetts. It gets heaved up by the frost because it's not in the ground deep enough. So they don't do that anymore. Now it's vertical curb, vertical granite curb. You'll see in all new subdivisions. That's very durable. When we do a road, granite's very expensive. You're talking probably this year it's going to be about $42 a foot, a lineal foot. So it's too expensive. So we choose to do what you said, Cape Cod berm. Excuse me. Cape Cod is a sloped asphalt berm, which can take more of a beating. A plow hits it, it goes over it. A car drives over it, it's not going to break it. So that's what we tend to do for the most part. We don't do stand-up berms anymore. Those are the ones you were talking about, that a plow hits them, it rips them out of the ground.
Yeah, well, it just seemed like our Leah Lane, and again, we have tremendous amount of traffic with 6 cars going up and down it. After about 3 or 4 years, there was no berm left.
You don't have granite curb on that road?
No.
All the other roads in the subdivision do, right? Or am I wrong?
No, Mill Pond Circle,
There's no granite in there? It was supposed to be granite.
it was supposed
I
to
don't
be
know why it's
granite.
not granite. Usually I would know that, but I think the new section off Mill Pond, on the right when you pull in, that's granite. That's
Oh,
sloped
okay.
granite. So, yeah. It's ideal, granite is the best. It's the most durable by far.
Well, I ended up 25, 30 years into the house, having the driveway dug up and had Braza put in granite, and it looks as good as the day he put it in.
Mhm.
Sloped granite, and cost more, but I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah, if you got the money to spend, I mean, an asphalt berm is like $5 a foot. So, when we figure a road for rebuild, we have to figure that in there. Sometimes it costs more to put the berm in than it does to pave the road. So we're not gonna do that. In some situations, we've taken the granite berm out because it's sloped, it's heaved, it needs work, a lot of the stones are broken in half, we just take it out. And we put asphalt berm back. In case anybody wanted to know that, that's the reason, because either that, we have to pull all that berm out and put it all back in to do the road. It's just not worth it. It's too much money. We'd spend a whole entire budget on one street.
Well, I remember somebody brought before the Finance Committee years ago, adding a second sidewalk to Purchase Street. And back then, it was so many millions of dollars just to do that.
Mhm.
So you just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Do most of the town streets have sidewalks?
Anything from like 1980 up, yes. Anything older, there's a lot, like my neighborhood doesn't have sidewalk. Doesn't even have berm. So when a plow goes by, if you don't have your front yard staked out, you'll lose your front yard. Because the plows don't know where it is. I always say that to people when we go by their house, we dig up their lawn. I say, you buy a couple of those dollar stakes, stick them in the ground. Because
Yeah,
that
the
helps
those
us.
orange stakes.
Yeah, that helps so much. The plow driver can actually see the edge of the road because we don't know where it is. No idea. You can't see it. It's buried. And now you have a storm with a big pile of snow in your front yard. Now you really can't see it. But you see the little tips of the things sticking up.
Transfer station. That's under you.
Mhm.
How's that working?
Good, as far as I know. I mean, we don't get complaints about it too often. It's very busy. If I told you we brought in 30 to 50 mattresses a week,
Wow.
it's a lot. So what we've done, In Massachusetts, you have to recycle mattresses. That's a law. So if a mattress comes in, we charge, I think it's $30 or $35 for a mattress right now. If you drop your mattress off, we put it in a trailer. We bought a trailer now. We can hook our truck up to it, hook on the trailer, and haul the mattress to whatever recycle place we want. Before we would have them picked up, which costs us more money. If you, then we would haul them in a dump trailer, so we'd have all the guys down there loading mattresses on. I don't know who wants to touch every mattress. I mean, it's pretty disgusting. But they would have to load them in our dump trailer, and then we'd take them to a place. But now we bought a little box trailer. We load them up. I think it can hold 30, 40 mattresses at a time, and we haul them away. When mattresses come in that are, dirty or moldy or wet, ripped, all these, we can't recycle them.
So what do?
We can pay $150 a mattress to stick them in the trash. It's a crazy expensive thing we're dealing with. So, you may not know this, you probably don't, but what we've done, the soiled mattresses or the wet mattresses, they go in our garage, and I hired someone to recycle them, because you can recycle those mattresses, but you can't send them to a recycle place. They won't take them.
Wait a minute, you recycle them?
Mhm.
How do you recycle a mattress?
You cut the fabric, you pull the foam out, the fabric's recyclable, doesn't matter if it's soiled, now that it's in fabric form. The foam goes in the trash, the metal springs and all that stuff go in the metal dumpster and they're recyclable. So we're trying to do that now with the soil mattress. It's working. We are saving a ton of money. You're talking saving $150 a mattress, and we're probably doing 5 a week.
But don't you pass that on?
No, I don't. We don't charge. If I was going to charge you $150 to take a mattress, would you pay us? You might, but some people won't.
Yeah,
and we don't want
they'd end up falling off my pick-me-up
yeah,
truck on the silent street.
You know it, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We pick up enough on the side of the street as it is. We don't need to add to that. So we try to avoid that. What we do is we charge what we pay for a regular mattress to be recycled, which is $30 or $35. I forget what it is right now, but it goes up, it goes down. So we try to just break even on that. And we were throwing away 5 mattresses a week at $150 a week per mattress. It was getting expensive. I don't have that in the budget at the transfer station. So, like I said, we hired somebody. We pay them, I think, $21 an hour, and they recycle mattresses. They can do almost 5 to 10 an hour. Yeah. So, that got my brain clicking, and I noticed that Worcester has done this now. They have a recycle center for mattresses. They actually recycle them. So they're not paying to get rid of them. They pay employees to do it. And it works out. It's still a huge savings, huge. So that's something I'm looking into. That could happen.
What are the big things that go to the recycle centers?
A lot of metal, washing machines, refrigerators, all that stuff.
People bring refrigerators down to the transfer station?
Yeah, appliances, air conditions, computers, TVs. Now, those are electronics. That's a whole nother thing. Those have to be picked up by an electronic recycle person. So we get charged for that. We get charged for everything, except for metal. We make little money on the metal, not a lot, because it's mixed metal for the most part. But we're always shopping around for better pricing, like batteries. Batteries, if you buy a battery at Joe's Automotive, you're going to buy the battery, plus you're going to get charged a core charge. You bring your battery back, and I know some of the areas it's $25. You can get $25 back if you bring your battery there. So there's like no reason not to do that. And
Well, I would think I don't want to get rid of it. I just have them deal with it. I'd pay them $25.
exact. Well, they'll pay you $25.
That's
to
even
take
better.
Because they always charge you for the core. They charge you for that automatically. If you want your money back, you got to bring the battery back, or you bring the battery with you and buy a battery, and it comes off the bill. So, and it should be that way with mattresses too, by the way. But for some reason, we own a lot of mattresses.
I don't know, when the batteries are getting bad, I take it over and Ray does magic, and all of a sudden the old battery disappears, the new battery comes in,
Right,
and it's
he
fixed.
buys a new one, gives them the old one for the core charge. Batteries got lead in it. Lead's very a very wanted metal, I guess, for whatever, whether they use it for batteries or whatever they use it for.
What do you do with paint?
Well, we take paint. We used to just take paint certain days of the month, I think it was, but we're doing it every day now. There's no reason not to take it. I mean, we pay a company to pick it up, but I can tell you this, if your paint can is empty, or fairly empty, you can just throw it in the metal dumpster. It can't throw one with paint in the metal dumpster, but you don't have to.
But I was under the impression if it's latex paint, just take the top off, let it harden.
The only problem is it only hardens that much, and then underneath that is more
Oh.
paint. Yeah.
Because if it's oil-based paint, you can't just
No.
dump it.
No, so we do take paint, and again, we gotta pay a company to come pick it up, and they charge us for it. Nothing's free.
No, but it seems like a great service.
It is definitely. I mean, it's getting used. I mean, it's busy down there. It's crazy. I'm thinking about opening up 7 days a week. It's just a matter of being able to pay employees to do that. You know what I mean? It's getting to that point because Thursday morning, as soon as they open the gates, there's a line of cars there.
Is that right?
Yep. We have recycle bins if you want to recycle your cans, your paper, your cardboard. We have bins for that.
Well, we have
plastics.
the dumpsters. The guy tells me this goes in that dumpster, this
Right,
goes in
but
that.
if we have regulars that come down every week, bag full of cans, bag full of bottles, cardboard. They throw it in we have recycle dumpsters that are actually just for recycling. So they throw it right in there. There's no charge for that. Recycling's free. But if you're throwing away building materials, couches, anything like that, there's a charge for that. They charge for a certain amount, certain size pickup trucks, certain items. We charge for air conditions. The thing with air conditions in refrigerators is the Freon has to be
I was going
drained
to say
out.
the gas.
So we have a company that comes in and takes the Freon. They actually drain them into a tank. And that's a free charge, obviously, because they get the Freon. They don't charge us for that. It's always changing. We always have different vendors. We just keep rotating around, try to find the best deal, best bang for the buck.
So that's how they get the old Freon.
Yep.
So I had to replace one of my central air systems because it was based on the old Freon, which you can't, I guess you can get it at $9 million an ounce or something.
Yeah.
It was cheaper to replace the whole unit.
Really? Well, eventually you won't be able to get it, so you're probably better off.
Yeah, well, when you put this, I put 5 central air systems in the house. And they said the average life is 25, 30 years. Back in 1990 when I did it, well, that's forever. All of a sudden you realize you've been in the house 35 years.
Goes by fast. For sure.
So what's the biggest challenge at the transfer center?
Mattresses. I gotta say.
I'm amazed that you go through that many mattresses.
There's been weeks we've had 60. I mean, we've hit the number. I don't know where they all come from. I don't get it. We only allow Milford residents to drop off mattresses. And quite honestly, I hate saying this, but you don't need a sticker to drop off a mattress. You don't need a transfer station sticker. As long as you can prove your address and all that, we'll take it. Like I said, it's $30 or $35 charge. But
Yeah, it was only like $20 for a year.
the sticker is $20 for the year, yes. And that gives you all the other benefits, I guess. You can bring metal there. You can do a lot of things. That's part of your leaf drop off, your brush. That's all part of the same sticker. If you don't have the sticker, we don't let you in there. At least we're not supposed to. I see one sneak by here. And there.
Stickers Milford only, or?
Yep. Just Milford.
That's interesting. It's a heck of a convenient way of getting rid of stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
So, as we come to the end of the show, what words of wisdom do you want to leave for Milford residents?
Let's talk about snow for a second. So I know everybody has complaints in snow. And we are working, we are there, we are getting your complaints. Sometimes we don't answer you, sometimes we just go do it. But just be patient, that's all we can say. You know, the guys at the highway department work hard. A lot of our new guys, we had to have a meeting with them before the storm to let them understand the hours that are coming and the amount of time you're gonna be here. We only have 15 full-time employees, and we have a few part-times and contractors, so
But that's
they
gone
work a lot
down
of
then.
hours.
Used
No.
to be, 20 years ago, you had more than that.
Well, it used to be combined parks and highway.
Oh, okay.
We do have parks working us, and there's 6 guys there. But they're not the licensed big truck operators like we have at the highway, so. But anyways, they, honest to God, that week, they did 112 hours
Wow.
from Sunday to Friday. Yeah, that's no joke. Now, they did, you know, these younger guys, I didn't think they're gonna be able to hack it, because it's a lot. I've been doing that for years, it's not a big deal to me, but it's a lot. You do not go home, you go home for an hour to shower, you have to go back to work. Very little sleep, any sleep they get is whatever sleep they can find. Their first stretch was 40, I wanna say 46 hours, Sunday morning till Tuesday morning, or whenever we ended, I can't even remember now. But that was nonstop.
But is that allowed?
In an emergency situation like that, yes.
Because I was going to
Yes.
say, a guy that's 30 hours, 40 hours without sleep behind one of those big trucks.
So understand that when you're out there with your shovel trying to hit them and smash it, because that happens. They swing at us with shovels. These guys, they are working hard, and don't ever, it's beyond what people can imagine. When I say that to people, they're like, what? Yes, and they really did work those hours. It's no joke. And they work hard for the town, and they're all good guys. You could be very proud of your highway department. Those guys absolutely do the job.
How many
We have a great
miles do
crew.
they cover in Milford?
120 miles of roads and approximately 120, and then we have around 60 miles of sidewalks
120
and all
miles.
the parking lots. And
That's amazing.
so my word of wisdom is be patient. We'll get there.
I can't imagine swinging a shovel at a highway truck.
Well, it happens.
I don't blame the guy that got the shovel swung at him to find out there's a 6-foot pile of snow in front of my driveway.
And you know that, you know, Joe is plowing Purchase Street, and he's got it all clean, shiny, he's got the salt down, it's melted, the sun's coming out. He goes up there an hour later, and everybody's shoveled the snow in the road. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. And, you know, at that point, a lot of people have shoveled their driveways, and we don't want to bury them in again.
Yeah.
So we can't just drop the plow and shoot all the snow back. It's very frustrating, so just be
Well,
patient.
There are people who really appreciate what you and your staff do. So I'll say thank you on their behalf.
You're welcome.
And we come to the end of the show, so I want to say thank you to our 6 loyal viewers who joined us. I hope you learned something about the Highway Department today. And as always, may God bless and may tomorrow be a better night than tonight. Good night.